Okay, we are going live for the first time in 3 weeks. Literally, because I checked it today, it was 21 days, I think. So, yeah, we'll be talking a lot about why. Let's just make sure that everything is up and running, first of all. We are live. I'm going to start recording actually for the hell of it, on Telegram for once, because I want to test out Kodai. We use the Kodai bot. Want to record video? Yeah, why not? We use the Kodai bot in our community. There we go. Okay. So that should be recording now. And I just want to test the features of Kodai because it can do a thing where it looks at the video and does a transcription. So for the heck of it, first time ever, I want to test that and see what the transcription feature is like, how well it works. Okay, let's just make sure that we're live on X and all the other platforms as well, and then we'll begin. Looks like we are there. Let's see. Day 140, we are live there. Fantastic. Let's just see on Twitch for the hell of it. Yep, we're live and we're live. Great. Okay. So, everyone, welcome back. This is day 21. I've lost the music because I need to put it on repeat. There we go. Yeah, fantastic. We're back. So, yeah, this is day 21 of day 21. Day 21 since we had our last live stream. It's quite a lot longer than that. Day 140 of Upscalp. And day 21 since we last had one, for a lot of reasons. Basically, the main reason has been how busy our private beta has been. For people who are not familiar, Upscalp is a futures trading assistant. It analyzes the top 50 coins on the market, futures market, mostly based on Binance as the primary data source, but I use other data sources too. And it uses a range of 34 strategies, risk gates, and lots of other quality controls to assess the performance of these top 50 coins and identify trends that it turns into signals, and lately turns into trades as well, automated trades. So we've had premium signals, we have a light bot as well that is publicly available signals. The signals have been flying since February, really, to be honest. And then what everybody really wants, I think, is automated trading. So since then, since February or so, I've been working really hard on that. We have a private beta group for around 35 people, and they all have access to the automated version, the automated trading, automated execution of trades version. And they've been testing it with me, and that is where I've been for the last 3 weeks, basically. And at the same time, then in real life, I also had to travel to 3 conferences in 3 weeks, which was really, really busy. So I had a very, very active life. Yeah, very, very active. But I think the good news is that the private beta users have been extremely supportive. We've had a very, very good private beta. We had a situation there where the balance of risk and reward was completely skewed. These are the kind of things that you discover in a beta. Basically, there was a very bad run of about 4 to 5 days in the market, and that corrupted the recent data, say like the 7-day data, made it much worse than any of the previous 30-day data, 60-day data, 90-day data, etc. And that created what Codex beautifully called a doom loop. So there was a doom loop in the risk avoidance system that basically stopped trades from trading for, and we had that for about 10 days. So thanks to the beta group, we worked through that, and took a very, very long time to get through. But that's what a private beta is for. You wouldn't really want that to be happening when you're live. So the whole point is that in a private beta, in any form of beta, you're working out these issues before you call it a production version, before you say this is actually general access and anyone can use it, and you won't have these issues. So I think it's been really, really helpful. So that's where I've been for 3 weeks. Usually on these live streams, what I do is I dive into our Jira board. So we have a public Jira board that anyone can look at, and what you may see here, I'm just going to leave it here for a few minutes because you'll possibly see it updating in real time. So for folks who've been on this call before, or these calls that we do before, you will know that I use agentic development tools, which is basically AI agents that help you code. And I use Codex primarily. It's a tool from OpenAI, who make ChatGPT. And I have a team of, it's about 10 agents that I use for Upscalp, and each of them has a particular role. Because from research, people who research large language models like OpenAI's ChatGPT and Claude and so on, when you dedicate an AI agent to a certain task or a certain role, they perform much better than trying to be like Swiss Army knives and multifunctional. they perform much better if you just limit them to one role. So for example, I have a couple of developer agents, quality assurance agent, marketing agent, knowledge base agent, and I have an operations agent. And the reason why I made an operations agent is I realized I was updating this Jira board by hand a lot, manually. So that was painful, and as a currently solo team of one developer, it was a real drain on my time managing this. So I built an agent that manages the board for me. So basically it looks at what the team of agents is building, it coordinates between them. I built tools so that agents inside Codex can communicate with each other and they can ping each other basically. So I had a very primitive email system between them before, and I built this extra thing that lets them to actually like poke each other like in the old days of Facebook. So you can poke each other and activate agents to do the work. So the operations is also the orchestrator for that, and handed that off, and I've just been testing it since. So this board, you may see, I'm going to refresh it actually because it may be updating in real time as we speak. It's not perfect, to be honest. Like you can see, it's putting a lot of stupid tasks here that are really internal, like this one here. This is kind of dumb. Like, why? No one cares about that, I'm guessing. Maybe if you're an AI nerd, or if you're a builder yourself, you might be interested in this kind of task, like what I was doing internally to build the skill set of the agents and the tools that they have available. And the operations agent that I built was adding tasks like this to the public Jira board, which really they shouldn't be. But I've just been telling it to reassess what's on the public Jira board so that we can turn it into something much more interesting for people outside myself and my agents. So for example here, I've got a couple of things on the board that were done recently. So for example, this one, I'm going to talk about these in a minute. Just as something to raise the profile of myself and Upscalp, I've actually been making some of the tools that I built for Codex open source. So for example, I'm going to talk to these in a minute. I'm going to talk about 3 of them, especially the safe trim one in a second. So that's there on the board, show that that's done. We've been talking a lot about this one in the private beta group. So the Upscalp Auto is what I'm calling the automated trading bot, by the way. So this is adding Aster as a venue option. And the reason for this is, as we've discovered, this is really, really interesting perhaps to other builders or people who want to use futures products. We actually found that, for example, Hyperliquid is a terrible product, which is sometimes the best or the worst products became the most popular just because of accessibility. So like it's non-KYC and it's very well known, I guess, but honestly it seems like from our beta testing it's probably one of the poorest options out there for a futures venue. So we've been looking at alternatives, because for a lot of our users, the typical options that I would suggest, like Binance or Bybit, for example, they were the ones that we were using, that we're looking at KuCoin. These are blocked in a lot of countries. So we do have to find options that are available to more people in more countries. So Aster was one of them. And in particular, because, for example, with the MiCA situation in Europe, in the EU, for those who are not aware, MiCA is a licensing system that the EU brought in. They've actually been proposing it since 2020, if you can believe it. I went to a talk about it in 2022, and it came into force in 2023 with a warning that on the 1st of July 2026, you won't be able to operate in Europe unless you have a MiCA license. And it's to reduce fraud in crypto, basically, is one of the main things in it, money laundering in crypto and so on. And Binance hummed and hawed on it. Bizarre. It's a very, very strange story. And they 7 days ago said that they're going to withdraw their application for MiCA. So for a lot of European countries, Binance is not in operation anymore, which is insane, being the biggest exchange in the world. But that's it. What are they hiding? That's the question. So because Binance will not be available to a lot of our users now, potentially inside the EU, we need more venues. So I'm looking at Aster. I also have long-term a grant proposal in with the Super Team Ireland, the Solana Foundation, to build Upscalp for Solana native futures venues as well, like Phoenix Trade and Imperial Trade, Jupiter Perps, and so on. So that is still under assessment at the minute, fingers crossed. So hopefully I'll be able to get some funding to do that. So yeah, that's a major task that we have ongoing at the moment. Yeah, I'm in Ireland, by the way, for folks who may not recognize my accent. Currently, Binance strangely seems still available to me because I know they have some loophole through Abu Dhabi for some European countries, but I don't expect that to last. So yeah, I'm very interested in finding other venues. Bybit, for example, Bybit have their MiCA license, and many of the other smaller exchanges are approved to continue trading and continue operating in the EU. So that's an important one. Let me see what else is here that could be important. Anything else I want to talk about? This is probably the next one that I'm going to open source. So I could see that a lot of people have done this already. They are using Codex, the app that I use, to do their agentic coding. And Codex added a browser within the product, and they open ChatGPT inside it. So you've got like ChatGPT inside your agentic development environment, because people find that ChatGPT is sometimes better for research. So again, I want to build a little tool that lets your AI agents interact with ChatGPT inside this browser window and allow them to do their own research without me needing to be involved, basically automating this. So again, I'll probably release that as an open source tool soon. Let's have a look at it. Is there anything else I want to talk about here that's useful? No, there's quite a lot of stuff that is... Oh, that's a private beta one. Yeah, but that's related to my... I have a version of the bot that I tested in as well. Let's try to look. This is the one that we were working. Yeah. So this was the major one. There was a trade drought, so the automated trades stopped firing because of that doom loop of risk avoidance that I was mentioning. So that was the major part of work that I've been doing for the last week and a half. Once we realized that this was, say, 7 days ago, realized this was a serious issue, that I've been working really, really hard on that one. 10 to 12 hours a day, to be honest, to get this back up and running again, which we did last night, which I'm delighted to say. So our beta users are getting trades again, which is fabulous. Really, really happy about that. So that's an important one. And actually, so yeah, that's a task to say that it's just monitoring it to make sure that we have actually fixed it. So yeah, you can see that the Jira board doesn't have a huge amount of interesting things for me to pull up at the minute, mostly because I feel like my operations agent has corrupted this board into more about the internal tasks, which is fine, but I can build a board rather for this then, and keep this to focus on things that are more interesting, external things. Let's talk about some other cool stuff that happened lately before I get into looking at the open source tools. So this is probably the biggest news that I had in the last 3 weeks. This is a week and a half ago, I think. Let me just check the date. What was it? It was 19th of June. Yeah. So basically what this is, Super Team Ireland have created this thing that they're calling Castle DAO. So super teams are the grassroots incubators of the Solana Foundation all around the world. I think there's 35 to 40 of them around the world, all around the world. And a few of them have been doing this thing where they bring builders together in a residency. For example, there was one called Island DAO recently. I'm not sure which super team was doing that, which country it was, but Super Team Ireland have done this thing called Castle DAO. And this is incredible. Basically, there's an extremely famous castle in Ireland called Slane Castle. It, in modern times, holds a massive rock concert or a music concert every year. 70 to 80,000 people go to this. It's like a mini festival for one day. And it's a very, very old castle, a lot of heritage and history there. And it's also right beside some very interesting ancient history of Ireland, megalithic tombs called Newgrange and Noath, that are as old or older than the pyramids. So it's a hell of an area. And Super Team Ireland have secured this area for a one of these residencies where they're going to bring builders in. And the big news from my perspective is I got accepted onto it. So I'm going to be one of the builders. I think in the first week they invited 20 builders, so I was one of the first ones invited, which is really, really cool. And then the second week they invited another 20. So I think there's probably 35 to 40 builders invited so far, founders of products and so on. So I'm going to be there. I've booked time for it. So they have a booking system. I think I've booked 9 days, so it runs for 2 weeks. And I really hope to be there for a lot of it, because they said that there's going to be builders from all over the world. There's going to be some special names that they can't announce yet. So big names in the world of Solana are going to come there as well. So they apparently have secured some very big names to come and inspire us, basically. So really looking forward to it. It's a fabulous thing. So if you're on X, it's CSTL DAO, Castle DAO, and I highly recommend watching the video with Alejandro. This one, is it? Yeah, this one. You should check out this video. It's great. He talks about some of the history of the castle and also explains what's going to take place in the residency. So very, very interesting stuff. So that was the major news, I think, from the last 2 weeks, since I had the last live stream here. Apart from that, it's just really been building. I don't really have a lot of other news, I don't think. Let's just have a look at the X, just in case there was something I've forgotten that's happened. So there was Castle DAO. Let me see, was there anything else that happened? Yeah, I've just been sharing loads of news from Super Team Ireland, like colleagues, Lufta launched their product yesterday. It's extremely interesting. Basically lets you send money via Solana, send payments. You can use a username to send the payments as well for a degree of anonymity, private crypto payments. So really, really fascinating project. And they're a member of Super Team Ireland, so I highly recommend checking them out. Let's see, is there anything else that I forgot? Oh, I should mention, give a shout out again, Super Team Ireland, how incredible. In the Coliseum Hackathon, there were 3 teams mentioned, if I'm right. There were 2 winners, and there was one of the teams that was awarded the University Award. So out of 40, I think it was in total. This number keeps saying 40 all the time. 40 is a popular number today. But it's just incredible, I think, that Super Team Ireland has 3 of those out of 40. Astonishing, I guess, for a small country, really, if you think about it. When there's entrants from all over the world going into the Coliseum Hackathon. And yeah, 3 winners from Ireland is pretty incredible. Let me just see, was there anything else to talk about? Yeah, so there was a great article here. If you're interested in Super Team Ireland, it's at SuperTeamIE, and they have an article about it here, about the Coliseum winners, if you're interested in checking that out. Oh yeah, this is a nice thing to flag as well. This took 3 weeks. I was astonished how long it took, maybe even longer, could have been 4 weeks. But basically, Upscalp is verified on Jupiter now, and the reason why I went to the trouble of doing that is because this is how Phantom identifies spam tokens. So if they're the Phantom wallet is what I'm talking about. So if Phantom checks a token and it's verified on Jupiter, it doesn't identify it as a spam token. And we had like a couple of weeks where we were identified as a spam token, which is crazy because we had, you know, we launched on the 15th of February, we've regular volume, but there we go. So this was a very, very useful thing to do, I think, getting verified on Jupiter. Yeah, this is actually a good idea, going through the timeline here, and I'll see if I can see things that I've forgotten. Yeah, so this is what I'm going to speak about in a minute, basically the open source tools. I've had a lot of fun on Reddit lately. I created an account for myself for Upscalp, and I think it got banned within 2 days. Tried a few more accounts, each of them got banned within a couple of hours, so that was a pain. So I ended up using, I think, my Peachfolio account, which is 6 years old at this point, but I hadn't used it in probably 4 years. So I started posting with that account instead, and that seemed to have worked because the tools that I'm sharing seem to be still there. Yeah, agentic development, Kilo Code blog is amazing. I think I was mentioning that a lot to other builders lately. Okay, I think that's probably enough. Yeah, and there was the Castle DAO announcement. Let's see, was there anything else here that I've forgotten? Oh yeah, that was just a nice evening. The CEO of Sure DeFi, who we did our KYC with, highly recommends that people have perspective in their work and make sure to take some time away from the work as well. So on the solstice, June 21st, the longest day of the year, there ends up being about 16 hours of light in Ireland, if you can believe that. At the place where we are in the hemisphere, we end up with something like 16 plus hours of light on our longest day. And it's called Greenstad in Irish, for a little Irish pronunciation for you, Greenstad, which means sun stop, basically. Yeah, and we did a little barbecue for it because it's very, very common here, especially on the solstice, but also the day after, that people light fires. A bit pagan, kind of pagan aspect to it, but yeah, did that as well. So yeah, I think that's where I'll probably stop going back in time. So just to finish up for today, for the people who are working in agentic development, I'm just going to show you the tools that I built. They may help people if they're working in Codex in particular. So I'm just going to very, very quickly look at this. So this is the tool that I use the most. This one that I built, it cleans up threads in Codex. So a lot of people, a typical way that they would work is that when they're doing a task, they make a new chat with the agent, basically, just like in ChatGPT. They make a new chat and that's for one task, and then they make another chat for another task. But the way that I've set up my project is that each of my agents has a very, very specific role and a lot of context behind how they work. They have their own tool sets. So I don't really want to be doing that. I want to keep using one conversation, one chat regularly, because I've put so much work into building the personality and the role for that particular agent. So in Codex, there's an issue when a conversation gets longer than about 400 megabytes, 500 megabytes, sorry, the file size of the conversation, or the length goes above 16,000 lines. It basically crashes Codex. It makes it unusable. So I built this little tool that very, very safely trims old elements of the conversation, reduces the line length and also the file size, and that means that Codex stops crashing. And I've been pushing this really, really hard with OpenAI because I want them to take notice of it and see what they implemented themselves into Codex, because currently they don't have a fix. Like, I had to build this for myself because otherwise I wouldn't be able to use Codex the way I want to use it. So fingers crossed they take note of it and they actually implement it. The other thing then, if you're using Codex on Windows, is very often it works inside the Windows Linux environment. The reason why I did that was there's a thing called a sandbox, and basically like it's a protected environment that you can run code in and it won't damage the rest of your computer. And also agents within the sandbox can't access files outside the sandbox unless you let them, which means they're not going to do the thing that happened to a lot of people running OpenClaw, that OpenClaw deleted their entire email inboxes or wiped the hard drive of their computers. So by using a sandbox, you prevent that from happening because the agent is kind of locked inside the sandbox. But when Codex launched on Windows, it didn't have a sandbox. So what you could do is run it inside like a virtual computer, a virtual machine with Linux. And again, it just kind of locked what you were doing inside a safe environment, a sandbox environment. And a big issue with this is it's not the greatest way to do this. And this virtual environment keeps growing and growing and growing and growing on Windows. It never stops. So I use Reddit a lot these days, and I could see on the Codex subreddits on Reddit talking about this issue. They were saying a lot of people were running into this issue. The environment, the Linux environment was growing to say like 250 gigabytes. It was completely swallowing up all the space in their hard drives, and people didn't know what to do. So I looked into it a bit. I did some research on it and found a safe way to deal with this. So what you do is you compact what's in the Linux environment and you remove unnecessary files, like temporary files, for example. They would just keep building and building and building. So again, this is the second tool. I actually used this last night. I use it like about once a week, so I'm actually using this on a regular basis, and it makes a big difference because when I was using this last night, my hard drive was down to 9 gigabytes, and I use this and I reclaim like 40 gigabytes back. 40 to 50 gigabytes is insane how much this Windows Linux environment uses up. So yeah, that's another really useful tool. And I built one other one that's public source at the minute. Again, Codex, I was trying to explain to someone lately about Codex and Claude Code and where we're at with all of these tools, because I don't think a lot of people realize that we're really at frontier with this. This is they call them frontier models. It's a frontier area of computing, really. And you're using stuff that is so cutting edge that it does break from time to time. And you're getting this incredible capability of me as a solo developer being able to create 10 agents that work as a team for me. It's astonishing. It's absolutely amazing. And even a year ago, the capabilities of these models was tiny. It was pathetic compared to where it is. They seemed great at the time, but I just saw a post about it today saying it's like 1 year since OpenAI released the O model, I think it was, and was it one of the mini models as well. The development, the pace of development is absolutely incredible. Like, I think Codex itself only came out like last October, I think, something like that. I started using it in November. I might be wrong. So you're really using a tool that's so incredibly new. You're using a type of computing that's so incredibly new and an area that's developing at an incredible pace. And it breaks. It's a reality of it. So Codex, great tool, but it breaks a lot. And this is one of the things it does. Often when it does updates, I find. So when you update Codex to the latest version, it actually archives your conversations, which is crazy. So this happened to me. It's about 2 months ago. I open up Codex and all of my conversations are gone. And obviously, like I was describing a few minutes ago, I spend a lot of time building them, giving them roles and personalities and tools. So it was a bit of a scary moment when they were all gone all of a sudden. And I discovered this is just a known bug in Codex itself. Have they fixed it? Not quite. Sometimes not. So they've done work in it, but it doesn't really always work. So what I did here, this is a tool that finds these conversations that have been archived that should not have been archived, and it unarchives them for you. So again, this is just like a tool that I specifically built because I was seeing people panic on Reddit in the Codex subreddits. Yeah, so I've been sharing it there. When I see someone comes up with this issue in a panic and they're saying, "Oh, my conversations are gone," I share this tool with them basically and tell them this is the way that you can help yourself to recover all of your tools. All of your conversations. So those are the 3 that I've released so far. I'll definitely have, say, another 2. We'll see how we go. I definitely will do those extra 2, but I had a list of 10. So eventually I may have 10 Codex tools live, which they're not going to be useful forever. It's a short window for them because I'm sure Codex will fix these issues as they're building. Maybe they'll even use some of my work to help fix Codex. That would be amazing. I'd love that. And yeah, really, really happy to do that. It's helping out of a frontier technology is really cool, I think. Very, very nice to be part of that and hopefully build something that people actually use and find useful. So that's it for today. I don't think I have much else really. I don't know when I'm going to be back again because the private beta is still running and I really want to close it. But I'll say I'll try to do another live stream maybe Monday week. So that's like, what, in 8 days, 9 days, I'll aim to do another one. I'll see if maybe on Wednesday this week I might be able to squeeze in another one, but I'm not sure. So we'll see. There may not be much to talk about anyway, so there may not be a reason to do one. But for now, I'm going to say good luck. I'm going to say thank you very much for tuning in, and especially to folks who are listening back and recording too. Thank you for also giving your time and checking this out. And hopefully talk to you again soon with lots of more exciting Upscalp updates.